Hello, students. Welcome to this session in which we are going to look at John Dryden's An Essay on Dramatic Poesy and try to understand it in detail. And I am Dr. Shyaonti Talwar, who will be engaging with you for this session. So, we are going to look at the key features of this essay of John Dryden, which brings out his opinion or his views about poetry and about drama, about what ideal drama and poetry should be like, right? And through this essay, we also come to understand John Dryden as a critic. In fact, this essay brings out his manifold critical gifts. And published in 1688, um, here you can see the quote. I'm quoting Wimsatt and Brooks over here. They say that published in 1688, this essay undoubtedly is the most ambitiously constructed critical document of his career. Right? So, this is, in fact, his work has been endorsed, it has been applauded by subsequent critics. And like we have seen in the previous sessions, we have looked at the structure, how the essay is in a dialogic form, where there are four characters and each person represents a particular worldview, a particular point of view, a particular literary view, right? So, primarily, we can say that the aim of the essay is to vindicate English writers. Vindicate is offer a defense of English writers, and it is to evolve the principles and a framework that will help guide us in judging a play. So, this essay looks at offering a theoretical framework, certain key principles that will act as a kind of template or a framework to critics for evaluating, for judging, or for offering their critical dispensation on a play. Right, and likewise, he's also expecting that this essay will help future dramatists to write good plays, come up with good works, literary works, which can be performed on the theater, which can be staged with the help of the guidelines given in this essay. So, that is what Dryden is primarily aiming to achieve through this particular essay, right? So, like we saw in the previous session, that this essay does a few things quite explicitly. A, it establishes the superiority of the moderns over the ancients. Now, we saw in the interaction amongst the characters that clearly Dryden privileges contemporaries and modern writers over the ancients. He feels that the modern writers are doing a much better job. The modern dramatists are more exploratory in nature, they are more experimental, they are more innovative, and they bring more variety than ancients, that is, the classical masters, right? So, not only are the moderns better than the ancients, but also he says whatever is happening in contemporary times is the times in which Dryden is living in. So, the work of literature, literary texts, literary works that are being produced in his age and in his time are better than the works produced by the previous generation of dramatists and playwrights. So, this is another claim that he's making. And through this essay, Dryden also advocates, he champions the rhymed verse, and he establishes the superiority. He doesn't establish, but he argues in favor of the superiority of the rhymed verse over the blank verse form. And like we've already seen, the essay is completely in the form of a dialogue. So that makes it more interesting for the reader. The reader finds it easier to engage in this kind of an essay, because the whole essay is structured in a way so as to uh, present differing points of view, contradicting points of view, or opposite points of view through certain characters, right? So these are some of the salient features of the essay. And in this essay, what is Dryden trying to tell us about drama and about poetic imitation? So let us try and understand that. So he says, drama is primarily to be treated as imaginative literature, and therefore drama is very similar to poetry. So in all literary genres, Dryden claims that drama comes closest to poetry, and drama is a just and lively image of human nature, representing its passions and humors and the elegance of fortune to which it is subject for the delight and instruction of mankind. Now, this is something that I'm quoting from Dryden's original essay. Now, if we try to understand this bit by bit, word by word, let us break this definition or this explanation into more comprehensible chunks, right? So, what does he say? He says drama is a just and lively image of human nature. What does he mean by just? Just implies that drama imitates life. It is not a thoughtless, mindless, servile reproduction of human nature, but it is an imitation, and the imitation is often better than the reality, right? Because in imitation, the creator, that is the poet or the dramatist or the writer, has a control. So the writer can be inspired by reality, but the writer uh, is free to create their own play, their own work of art. So, reality is definitely a source of inspiration, but this imitation or this image of human nature is very just. Just in this context could mean fair, just could mean better, just could mean ideal, right? Just could mean that what Dryden is trying to say is that the playwright is imitating over here, not reproducing reality as it is, right? So, the aim of drama, the aim of poetry is to make something more beautiful and heighten the quality of the literary text produced. So, the reality that we see is in a way distilled in a literary work. And it is a better version of reality. It is a better um, edition of reality. It is a more refined kind of reality which is produced through a work of art. So, over here, Dryden, interestingly, compares the poet to a watchmaker. And he says, just like a watchmaker has all the necessary equipment, and the watchmaker has all the necessary raw material to make a watch. So there are all these bits and pieces, assorted pieces, which the watchmaker, through his craftsmanship, assembles and uh, and puts together in a way that the watch starts functioning or the watch starts working. So does a poet assemble all the raw materials which he or she draws from nature, draws from reality, and then assemble it, reorder it, arrange it, make it, connect it in such a way that the poetry that they produce, the work they produce, starts to function exactly like a watch. So, Dryden uses this very interesting analogy or metaphor of the watchmaker, and we clearly understand that here Dryden then is looking at the craftsmanship or the artistry or the worksmanship that goes into making a poem, right? So, Dryden privileges worksmanship rather than material or source. So, Dryden is not so concerned about the material or the source or the raw material or the reality, the source of inspiration, rather than the final work of art or the process that the poet or the dramatist engages in coming up with a particular work of art.